Hi, welcome to ComeonyespursTV. Welcome back. We've been a while. We've been away for a short while. We're back now, and today we are previewing the match between Southampton and Tottenham, taking place at the St Mary's Stadium on Saturday. Kickoff at 3 p.m. With me today, I've got Chuma, and I'll bring Chuma on in just a minute. In the meantime, come on, ye Spurs. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome. This is Come On Sports TV. If you're here for the first time, so hit the like button or click on the subscribe button to ensure that you keep getting notified anytime we go live or share a video. With me today, I've got Chuma. Chuma is what I call our in-house encyclopedia or guru or Spurs or anything football. Chuma, how are you?
Well, awesomely fabulous. The fact that both of us are back on the podcast means neither of us got elected into office last week. So such is life. Someone texted me that the reason you guys aren't making any more podcasts is because one of you is going up for a political position. I'm glad that we've put that to rest now. We're both back on, so it's obvious.
Absolutely. Right. It's a lot happened since the last time we were on air, and I mean, for me, I think the key has just been possibly the huge negativity in the Spurs world right now. It's for me, it's freaking unbelievable. I mean, we had this little banter off air about me being called Optimus Positivics.
You need Soji, you need to come closer to the mic. I can't hear you that well. You need to
Oh,
come.
sorry. Yeah, of me
There you
being
go.
called
Yeah.
Optimus Positivics, and
Oh
yeah.
yes, indeed,
So
indeed.
and
Optimus
yeah, I
Prime.
guess
Optimus
I'm
Prime for the Transformers fans. Optimus
absolutely.
Prime. We're
So
looking at
yeah, I guess I'm
Optimus
the
Prime right
eternal
here.
optimist. So and I make no apologies for it at all. That's just my nature. I can't help but be positive, and
It's good.
I can't help that. But having said that, though, I mean, the form guide and the reality and what people are saying, and if you look at the form guide and if you look at what people are saying, you have thought that we're in the relegation zone or battling to survive in the Premier League. The way people carry on about how negative contest game is, how the players are poor, how we just purely dire. And okay, it hasn't been helped by the fact that okay, maybe the fact that they asked those guys down the road. We don't want to speak their name on this program. Okay, so yes, those guys down the road, they seem to be top of the league for the moment, right? And it's looking like they might end up, winning it in the end because they're 5 points ahead, only 13 games to go, and even though we say anything can happen, nothing negative will happen their way. So hey, and it's not looking good from that perspective, right? However, um, if that didn't happen, do you think our Spurs fans will be the way they are right now?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. I think a lot of expectations were raised at the end of last season. I think a lot of Spurs fans were very hopeful that Antonio Conte had found a brand of football that was working. It was kind of attacking, even though it was counter-attacking football, it was still like an attacking counter-attacking football. If that makes any kind of sense. So
Okay.
people felt we had an identity. We were told he looks for a specific set of players. He's wing back heavy. He needs specific players, and we thought that the transfer window in the summer has sort of addressed it, if not perfectly, but enough for him to finish higher than we did last season. Instead, here we are fighting for the position we were last season. But like you said, the eye test is completely different from or the feeling. Feelings are not facts, as they say. We're possibly 1 or 2 points ahead of where we were at this same stage last season. This same stage last season, we've gone out of all the cups as well. So we now had a run, and we played well, and we started scoring more goals. Case in point, we're doing the same thing now. We are literally, you show the form guide, 4 out of the last 6, 5 out of the last 7. We are playing supposedly well. Um, and yes, it's true. I read an article last week where the guy said, literally said, if Arsenal were 6th or 7th, Spurs fans wouldn't be. And I said, yes, to a point, that's true. But the fact is, we wanted to be doing better than we're doing, especially in a year where Chelsea and Liverpool have sort of fallen off their perch. And that's the issue, is that we should be doing better. We shouldn't be trying to fight for fourth. Or we believe so. And that's the thing, is the belief and the hope that kills you as a Spurs fan, they say. So that's kind of where it is now. It's too much expectation. He raised our expectations, and he's paying the price for it and for everything that's happened afterwards.
It's interesting that this perspective is taking hold. I'll give you. I mean, I'll just we'll come back to that in a few minutes. But if we sort of dial back a little bit and look at Southampton's situation, it's not too dissimilar to ours for a number in a number of ways, and I'll tell you why. They had Rolf Hasenthal, right? And Hasenthal, if you look at how he came in, I mean, was almost literally relatively unknown like Poch when he came in. But he seemed to have done quite a good job up to a point, until they started having a run of poor results, in which case they had to let him go. Now, they took on somebody else after Arsenal, and he didn't do too great either. And before you know it, we're back to Mr. Jones now. And okay, he started.
Mr. Jones is the guy who didn't do well.
Sorry, Jones is the guy who didn't do well. Sorry.
So now they got a caretaker guy there now.
Yeah, so the caretaker guy is in there now, and okay, he started reasonably okay, but again back to square one, and in the sense that as far as form is concerned, they are now at the bottom of the league. Now, I know that a lot of football fans always have this notion about almost like as if their team has this divine right to be top of the table, right? Or like they have the divine right to win all games that come their way, Or if they don't win, they want to ask for a sort of level of performance that sort of justifies either their pay, their position in the league, how they perceive themselves as as football fans, or where they place themselves on a table, on some sort of hierarchy of fans, right? Or what football teams should look like. But the fact of the matter is that I always say to people that, look, ultimately there are two teams play the match, right? On their day, when people are hungry enough, and a lot of factors go into this, right? They're hungry enough, they're up to it, they've got the skills, and all the conditions fit, right? Any team can be the other team, if you think about it. And that's why you've had situations whereby Liverpool wins 7-0 against Man U on one day. They travel down to Bournemouth, who like bottom of the league, struggling to survive, and they lose 1-0. And I'm thinking to myself, how did that even happen? Or they lose to Real Madrid 5-2, and the next match they win 7-0. It's that's the quest of football. And Jurgen Klopp didn't become a bad manager overnight, did he? And the players didn't really become bad players overnight. So that's the thing about football. It's always so. I guess in most cases you've got to look at things over a space of time, and which brings us back to this match. We're going to the Mary Stadium. It's been mixed for us in the last few years, hasn't it? They came at the beginning of the season. They actually scored the first goal this
first goal, yeah.
That was what for us, wasn't it, right?
Yeah.
Free kick, and even though we ended up winning 4-1 when they came over, it wasn't an easy match, The scores probably flattered us in the end, but I mean, it's one of those games where
no, it didn't flatter us. It was the beginning of our second half renaissance period where we started turning up second half. That was the start. That's when it began. That first game.
Yes.
That's when it started. We came out second half and we blitzed them, and the pattern just kept on repeating itself every game.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. They scored the first goal. Ward Prowse. I don't think it was a free kick. It was he hit the shot on the
Yeah,
ground.
he
Hit the shot on the
hit the
ground,
shot and yeah, it sort of bounced over
and it
Lloris.
bounced
Yes.
it bounced over Hugo. Yeah,
Yes.
and then Spurs had I think equalized to Højbjerg or something, and that's what happened 1-1. And then second half we just came out, and then Kulusevski ran the show, couple of assists, scored one himself, and it was like second half, and that's the beginning of our nightmare. Up until that point, the club was perfect. Preseason had gone well. And then we just came into the second half thing, and it became our curse for the best half of the
One
season.
of the things
But
I always loved about I guess if I love is a bit extreme. Liked about Southampton was because they had the same song as us, and it probably originated from them when you think about it,
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
when the
yeah,
Spurs,
yeah.
but it used to be oh when the Saints come marching in. And I've been to the Mary Stadium
I've been
once.
to St. Mary's quite a few times. Yeah, no, I've
Yeah,
been quite a few times. My aunt lives in Southampton, so I've been
it's
there.
not a bad stadium,
So I actually saw the emergence of that guy Woolwich had Walcott, and I saw Bale at Southampton first
Yeah.
before he came to Spurs. So yeah, no, Southampton have always been they're a very good side. They're one of those sides that they will they're not ever going to win the league unless they get like massive cash injection or they get lucky and get a poach again. Same as us kind of thing. But they
Mm.
were well run. But then once the lady who owned it sold the club, things have changed. A lot of their football development has gone backwards. But they have some of the best young players. They are very good at attracting very good young players. Some of their players in their squad right now that I think are really amazing kids. But just because they don't have the experience around them as such, Ward Prowse is not really an old vet himself. You know, if they had direction, they would probably be doing better. But this is the case. But it's a good time, I think, for Spurs. I think we're meeting all the teams we're meeting now at the best time. If I can say that, I think we're meeting all of them at the best time now. We played Forest. Good time to meet Forest. We're meeting Southampton. I think it's a good time to meet Southampton. So depends on what Tottenham shows up, but I think these guys now they've had time to train. It's back to 1 week, one game a week kind of thing. I think they'll roll them.
Interesting, interesting. So, I mean, everyone says that Tottenham depends on which Tottenham turns up, and we've had a bit of a patchy season, if you like, over the course of the season, and I mean, we the last match against Forest, I mean, led 3-0, and it almost became squeaky bum time. I mean, towards the end when we had a penalty, awarded against us, and then it almost like from being very comfortable, it became nearly frenetic and frantic. I don't know what happened in that match. It's one of those matches when you thought you're really, really comfortable, and the next thing you know, things just go totally out of what do I call against what do I call the plan? I mean, what happened in that match?
No. I think Davis explained it at the end of the game, and Davis and I think someone else mentioned it that you have to realize the amount of effort they exerted playing Milan, and he was saying how that game took a lot out of them as well, and so they really tried to press Milan and stuff like that. That they were legging, so he knew that if they didn't score goals early against Forest, it would be a problem. So it's understandable at the end of the game they all started flagging, and they just got tired and lost focus. And but it's where when you have a very good squad in terms of like Foster is just become he's becoming a bit of a legend for Spurs fans because he's really like a lot of people look down on him when he first joined. He's still an older keeper and all that, but Foster is really he's a really really good keeper. And my only wish is that we had gotten him 10 years earlier when he was young. When he was younger.
You
It would
say
have been
he's a really good keeper. I mean, but sometimes he still makes some errors that you think, because if you look at the Forest first goal, I mean, that was a flap, wasn't it? Because if it, I mean, it
I
came
know,
out and didn't get the
no,
ball.
no, no, it happens. It happens. And, that was his one. But when you think of how quickly he got down two, three times in the same game,
Yeah,
that would have been two, three goals. So,
true,
I give him that
true.
flap. I give him the flap and I give him the penalty save. Brilliant. Spread himself 6 feet 7, spread himself very well. And, it's just, yeah, it's one of the, I think the Forest game was interesting, I think, because in that game, you saw a lot of things that were coming together. Skip's pass for Richarlison's goal. I know we didn't do a show for that for the game, but my God, Skip's pass to Richarlison played into space and Richarlison hitting it on the half volley as he found. That was
Honestly,
a great
I mean,
goal,
for
and
me, that would have been one of the goals of the season for this way that the whole that game that goal was executed. You
and
know,
and 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 it was a narrative as well. Richarlison had made comments about being, his
being
discontent
dropped.
at not starting, not, and it was like, what a one. And in the first 3-4 minutes, he just popped with
Yeah,
no remorse. And it was so beautiful. And then to think that it's the same Forest that he scored against as well,
yeah.
like in the reverse fixture. And again, they've done it to him. And, the thing I really feel for Richie for is, I mean, he's getting slandered all over the internet. I can't even defend him because people are coming out like, I keep telling them he hasn't really started. He's been injured. They said, yes, but even then. And then when Conte made his remarks in the press conference, which were kind of uncalled for, but I understand why, because he's a proud coach. For him to say, yes, he was describing himself, not
Yeah, but
describing us.
if you listen to his comments though, the comments were not actually derogatory. The comments were saying that look, he made a mistake by coming out and saying the things that he did, right? By saying by i.e. he was being selfish, right? Which is fine, right? But he said that if you look at the season, how it's gone for him, he hasn't gone really well because he hasn't really scored that many goals and because he hasn't had many opportunities to start.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and because of that, he's not been able to sort of really have a good run in the team. He wasn't being critical of Richarlison at all. He wanted to say was that maybe he should have gone there and said about being I. That's which I thought was
Oh,
very
no, no,
well.
no. No. It's the way. It's no, no. The Conte's experience. It's the way he styled the conversation. You see, because here's a man who he's just complained about the we, but he always says the club is they. You see, so it's the way this man, Conte is a genius in the way that he handles the media. Because,
Hmm.
yes, he's saying anytime anybody says, he's not. But, bro, every time you talk about the club, you say the club knows how I feel. The club knows. I'm like, guy, it should be we. We are on the page. But now he's using it when it suits him to talk about Richarlison. But anyway, no, the response was brilliant. I'm not a fan of Richarlison playing on the right side with where Kulusevski is playing. I'd rather he played left. But I think this is just me, and I think you're seeing it on both sides. So there's a thing going on online that Perisic should ride the bench because Perisic is the one that has caused Son's problem. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't. No,
Perisic
I
is
haven't
Perisic
actually.
is entering Perisic is entering the same half spaces as Son. So Son can't go out, but when he plays with Davies, if you notice that Son's goals and everything have come playing with Davies Assassinion.
Hmm.
There's no coincidence. So there's this thing. And then Poro, I said it before that Emerson, the change of Emerson, the metamorphosis of Emerson to this character, has Emerson playing inside midfield, which is good for him because it allows him to be athletic, flexible, but it's bad for Kulusevski or whoever plays on the right because the whole point was for him to overlap to get them to come in. But now that person has to stay wider because he's now going in. And Kulusevski is left footed, so he can't swing out across. But once Poro is playing, Richarlison and Poro were killing that left side of Forest. They killed that left side of Forest. Worrell and whoever was playing at left back, they killed them. And it's the same thing on the left side. Davis made it so easy for Son to just come in, and Davis has a very good cross on him. For me, you know where I stand with Ben Davis. I will forever stand with Ben Davis. I think that man is an absolute club legend, and I don't care what anyone thinks. Left centre back plays it well. Left back plays well. Left wing back plays well. He doesn't play outstanding. He just plays well. And people like that,
It's just adequate, right?
Yes, they're good in your club. It's good to just have that guy because people forget Poch played Danny Rose as a wing back, kind of. Every time Ben Davis came in, he was more conservative, but he was still very good, especially to that spell when Rose got his injury that ultimately changed him in terms of how he played. Ben Davis came in and just slotted in, doing his job, nice and easy, 7 out of 10 football. And so Son now is, so I don't know if Perisic is ever going to start or if he's going to rotate to get Perisic back on. I think Davis is and Longley is okay enough, you know. So let's see.
Yeah, let's see. Now, I mean, I know we were talking about the form guide earlier on and where both teams were in terms of where they think that they should be. I mean, if we look at our form guide, it's one of these things where are we where we want to be? Are we where let's I mean, okay, so we say Spurs don't do draws, right?
We don't do draws. We don't
And
do draws.
it's evident in the way that things have sort of panned out so far in the season. If you look at it, so we have what Southampton have won 3 of the last 6 games, lost 3 of the last 6 games, right? Lost the last month to Brentford at home, you know, and they have the next home game against us. So on paper, that possibly looks like a bit of a tough one because I mean, where they are, they're fighting for their lives, aren't they? Right? And we won 4 of our last 6 games. I mean, so on foreign form, we're probably fourth in the in China in the league in terms of form. I mean, when you look at so we're right about where we need to be uh, for the rest of the table. Um, for me, going away to Southampton is a tough test for us because we're fighting here. We're playing against a team that are fast fighting for their lives, you know, and they're playing at home. So we're probably going to be up against it on many levels. But I think over the years we've done quite reasonably well. I mean, playing at Southampton, haven't we?
Yeah, yes, we have. So I see the opposite. I think we now have a week to prepare for matches. I think that's brilliant. I was watching some training videos yesterday online, and the players are sharp. They're scoring goals. Um, I think this week helps. Southampton don't have. If it's one thing, I'd say okay. So Spurs' problem, Tottenham's problem this season has been defensive. It's been our defensive. We've had defensive issues. They said the defensive issues have added to everything else.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at it now and I'm saying Southampton don't have a striker that is a pure out and out lethal assassin, like Erling Haaland or something like that. They just have their striker. I think they have the Nigerian striker, the new striker, Paul. I can't remember what his surname is now, but he's a Nigerian striker and he's okay, but he hasn't found his feet yet. So they have very good midfield players that are young, and they have Ward Prowse. So be careful for set pieces, corners, things like that because of James Ward Prowse. Defensively, they're not that great. Okay, Kyle Walker Peters as well as a wing back, right back, he's been really good. But because they don't have a finisher, all the balls he's putting in aren't being. So I think Spurs have a very, I mean, an uninjured side. If he keeps the same side as that played for us, I think I think he will make a lot of inroads into them. I think he's also a game set up for Harry Kane and Youngmin Son. Son has a very good record against them as well. Kane has a good record against Son. I mean, you know, all the things you'll be seeing this week are just all the 5-2 under Mourinho where we went there with just four assists for Harry Kane, and it's like Son was just on a mission on a tear. I think Son still has that thing, and I think Son will come out, and I think Son will play well. Richarlison is old and goal, and I would love it. I'll be Kevin Keegan. I'll absolutely love it if Richarlison could score a hat trick against Southampton. That's what I'd love. I'd love that. And also for Arno Danjuma to finally get a shot and play and score. That would make my weekend.
Well, let's see how that goes, you know. But hey, I'm not holding my breath for any of that to happen. But hey, because we all know Conte. Conte doesn't do experiments, you know, and doesn't pander to opinion. So he probably just do what he needs to do for us to win, you know. And I think he's been effective so far. I think if you look at our season, I don't really want to dwell too much on the politics because we go into politics now. We'll probably we'll be here for another 10 hours, and you know, we'll probably most people will probably, you know, there's this camp of Eric out, Conte out, you know, bring back Poch, you know, and all that, you know, and I think it's just sad the whole air around the club, and it's just sort of maybe affected us to an
Is it,
extent.
but Soji is a chicken and egg thing because, what a statement it would be for this man to sign a 3-year deal, buy a house, bring his wife and his daughter over. He did it this week. All the fans will be like, okay, we'll now be on Enix's case to back you or we'll kill them. Pardon my language, we're not going to kill them, but literally, like, we'll protest, we'll do everything we need to do. Sign a 3-year deal. But he's not signing. And then on the other side, Inic are like, why would we commit to your vision or your philosophy or your methods if you're not signing? However, he doesn't want to sign because he knows they won't commit. So it's kind of like one side feeds the other, and it's just in the meantime. There's an African saying: when two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that suffers.
Sure.
The grass in this case are the Spurs fans. The standoff between Enoch not supporting him, and there was no surprise. So here's the thing that's also very annoying: is Antonio Conte is an elite manager. He's a bona fide guy. He's experienced. He also knew what he was stepping into. I fail to believe that this man, you know, did not know that Daniel Levy and the rest of them would give him B, C type players, not A type. If he wants A, they say, no, we can't get you A, but we can get you B and C. And he knew what he walked into. That's what that paycheck is for. That paycheck is to make miracles, is to make soup out of only having tomatoes and pepper. Make soup somewhere, somehow. Forget all the other ingredients. And he can't work like that. In those cases, the fit is not right and it's untenable. But the fact they've dragged it out for so long, and you're talking earlier about Jurgen Klopp and all these other managers. And the thing I would say to you is this: a lot of people are talking about Arteta, how Arteta has been given time with Woolwich and Klopp and all. But you have to look at what kind of credit these people had in the bank. Klopp made a semi-final of cup competition within like 2 seasons, or his second season, you know. Then won it by the third he won. So Arteta won off the gate. Now, whether he fluked it or didn't fluke it, it doesn't matter. He has an FA Cup to his name.
Yeah,
That gave
that's
him
credit in the
credit
bank
in
as
the bank.
well.
If only we'd made the semi-finals in a year where the FA Cup had lost Arsenal, had lost all these guys. Here we were, Tottenham Hotspur, playing Sheffield United. If we'd blitzed Sheffield United, because if you're arresting people for the Milan thing, we ended up going out against Milan. So if we had made it to the semis or the final of the FA Cup and by chance won it, oh my goodness, what kind of credit is that? Like the fans would literally barricade Daniel Levy's house. But he didn't. We went out woefully against the Sheffield United, the championship club that made 6 substitutions.
Yeah,
They did not play their big side. They swapped
that
6
that was
people.
a disappointing performance on that night. I mean,
So
that was really
exactly. So you
disappointing.
look at that, and then
Yeah.
of course you say the players. You say the players shouldn't escape it. But when we're saying things like people like Dan Juma, that guys are hungry on the bench, you didn't play them. You're resting Harry Kane, you're doing all that stuff. But
But
it is
you
what it
know,
is. So
it's one of these things where it's always very difficult for a manager, right? So here we are as Spurs fans. A lot of fans, I heard them saying, "Oh, we played our strongest team." Da 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 da. But the same people will come back and say, "Oh, we don't rotate, or we don't give Harry a chance to rest, or we don't give the rest of the team a chance to rest." So that, I mean, when the end of the season, they become fatigued and all that. So okay, so he goes and he rests some of the players in the team, and then the team don't blend and they don't perform. So it's one of those chicken and egg situations whereby I don't know.
Yeah.
It's you can never
but
get
but
it right.
but
If you
but,
get
that,
it right,
yeah,
if you get it right,
but you
you're a
read about
genius.
Daniel Levy.
If you don't get it right, you're a bomb.
Yeah, no, true. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you read what that the sentiment coming out of the club was Daniel Levy was disappointed because Daniel Levy himself knows that he needs to win a trophy, right? And for all those people who are trophy heads, you need to win a trophy. But here's the thing: what was the one criticism we had of Pochettino? The one criticism we had of Pochettino was Pochettino did not take cups seriously, even though he made a couple of semi-finals of League Cups and FA Cups, and he
He
made
even made
fine.
finals. He made finals of League Cup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He made the final, but he didn't take it seriously enough in all the other ensuing years. He always rotated. He brought on people like Carroll, Tom Carroll, and the rest of them to play in games, and they would lose. You know, they would lose. And you looked at it like, if only you're taking it seriously, Poch, you'd have won something, right? So now you look at this guy who Mourinho's playbook is open to the league. Mourinho has a playbook that even Pep Guardiola followed. Pep Guardiola won the League Cup first time out or second time out. And that was what won him. That's what now got his guys to go, this stuff works. If he had tried to prioritize this, I know he could say, yeah, he felt. I personally feel we could have beaten Milan. This is just me. I'm also Optimus Prime, but I'm Optimus Prime from a tactical standpoint. I look at it that, yeah, I look at it from the same thing. I love this backstory, but I love it in a certain way. That's not how he plays it for me. But I don't like the way but I just felt you play back four. You don't even have to be adventurous. Put three midfielders there and three attackers, and Spurs will eat people alive. That's my view now. It's like I love the back three, but if you don't have the players, like he needs two very solid centre backs to go with Romero. Guys he has now are not. He can't trust them. Trust them. So why can't you play somebody else? And just if he just did that for me, like even just having Skip and Hoiberg as blockers, they don't have to do anything. Let the forward guys create. You can play Son, Kane, Richarlison, and Kulusevski together up front and watch what happens. Just leave them to do their work and see what happens. That was my view. And it hasn't happened. And I looked at it and I'm like, because they come back to
Speaking of
this
the
three,
team, I
every time they
mean,
come back,
yeah, I mean, speaking of the team, I know if you're joining us for the first time, it's ComeonyespursTV where we talk about everything Spurs. And like I said, we're previewing the match between Southampton and Tottenham. If it's your first time, subscribe to the channel, like, and click on the bell button for notifications so you get notified anytime we go live. Now, speaking of the team news. I think we're going to lose Romero for this match, isn't it? So he's suspended, isn't it?
yes.
Because of the red card he had at the last match. So we're probably going to end up with Dyer, maybe Longley, and Hope. I mean, I don't know, and Davis. I don't know. We'll see
Hold on.
how that.
His red card in which game? He played against Forest.
Did he play against Forest?
I think it's the Champions League you're talking about.
Hang on. When did he get the red card? Was it Champions League or was it in the
It, I think he's
um?
gotten a I think he's gotten a red card. He's gotten a red card that he served the suspension for. And then he got a red card against
What team was that? What team did he get a red card against? I
I
thought it
think it
was
was 2-3 I think it was 2-3 games ago, but we're still so obsessed with it.
Oh
And they
yes,
were obsessed.
it was Champions League. It was Champions League, right? It was
It was
against
Champions
Milan.
League, yeah.
No, what? Just
Against
in the
Milan.
match, right? So right. So
Yeah,
it
so
was
he
right.
misses, yeah, but league wise
Oh, so
he's
anyway,
fine.
he's good, right? So yes,
League wise he's fine. League
right.
wise
So
he's fine.
we'll probably have the same old suspects in the
Oh yeah,
in the lineup.
I think
I
it's
think
the same
I
team.
understand Emerson is training, but I'm not sure he's back to full fitness. So most likely Porro will play that role.
And Poro, you have
Say that again.
to at Forest. He looked good against even coming on against Milan. He looked
Yeah,
good.
he does look good. I mean, Poro seems to be the business. I mean, he had some amazing crosses. He hit the bar, and it's playing quite well. Playing quite well. I'm happy with the options we have on the right wing now.
Options, options they call it
I
options,
know, I
options.
know. Anyway,
This place
you know,
is this
we're glass half full people, aren't we?
positivics, optimistics.
Yeah, so we don't have any injuries up front apart from not we don't have any injuries up front. Maybe only in the
No,
midfield we have
no.
Bentancur
Still
still out.
Bentancur still out, and Bissouma as well.
Bissouma still out as well. I think those
Bissouma's
are the
out.
only injuries that we have, and maybe
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Emerson. We're not sure if he's
And,
still on the
and,
fit.
and of course Hugo.
Of course, Hugo. Yes, Hugo and goal. So I mean, and Foster has deputized quite nicely so far, and yeah, we're here giving him kudos earlier on, even though with my positivus optimus, I still might sort of find a fault in him for the first goal against, but he saved his ball blushes by saving the penalty. So predictions for Southampton.
I honestly think it's a Spurs win. I think it's a Spurs win because they've had time to train. There's no pressure. There's no expectation anymore. The fans are like, it's always when we're tired of them that Spurs start to do what they're supposed to do. And I think there's no pressure on them. I think they're coming into this week going, let's just win all our games and see where the chips fall. Because Brighton won yesterday. Brighton have like 2 games in hand, I think, if we play tomorrow, or if they're not playing tomorrow as well. On Saturday, sorry. So Brighton have games in hand, but like you said it before, points on the board matter. So I think the players now just gear towards points on the board, points on the board. And every game they have now looks challenging, but they also look winnable to a point. It depends on how they go into those games. So got Southampton now. I can't remember who we're playing next after Southampton. Yeah, I think we're playing someone at home. And yeah, but it looks like we're playing people from the second half of the table, I think, mostly. So it's a good run in for us, like heading to the end of March, heading to April. So I think the players are just. I honestly, I envisage a game where a high scoring game for Tottenham, especially if Southampton try to come out to play. If they come out to play, I think Spurs will just keep hitting them. That's just my mind.
Everyone's view as well. I mean, I'd share the same opinion as well. If we put in our best effort, I think we've got a very good, stand a very good chance of coming away. But it's one of those banana skin type matches where you just never know what could happen. But I'd go for a Spurs win as well. Typical positivus optimus, yes.
You've never gone for a Spurs loss or draw ever. So well, it's
like I couldn't, could I?
We're all waiting. I think we're making secret bets in the background.
That's a collective item on its own. Don't worry.
We're waiting to see the day when you say, well, Spurs will lose. I'm like,
I know. Anyway, yeah, it's been great having you. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to the match on Saturday, 3 p.m. If you're going to join us, we're having a live stream post match. I don't know if you're going to be here, Fuchuma. If you can join us for that, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be. If the result is reversed, I may be out having some drinks. Never know.
Yeah, so we've got a tough run in towards the end of the season, and some people look at it as not too tough on paper, but the difficulty with the Premier League, no match is a given. No match is a given. Even the top matches, even the top teams, still face banana skins. I mean, we've had so many instances of top teams going to sort of lowly teams and not coming away with the result. So I mean, yeah, fingers crossed, and we look very forward to good match on Saturday. And yeah, join us on the live stream, post-match comments and banter and chat and what's the word, report and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so we very much look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday. I think we're starting about 5:15, I think, or thereabouts. We'll leave the times on the YouTube channel that you can see for that. Yeah. So thank you guys, and yeah, Chuma, it's been fantastic having you.
Pleasure, always.
As always, So thank you so much. In the meantime, we say, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Where are we? We should have that clip here coming up now, shouldn't we? So where is it? It should have come on, you Spurs coming up. Play now. Beautiful. Right, come on now.
Free Danjuma. this looks like a lifetime ago.